The auctioneer almost apologized when he put the human on display. Almost. Instead, he looked at the thin figure behind the transparent holding field, glanced at the audience, and announced the price with a bored shrug. 300 credits. A few aliens laughed. Someone in the back actually coughed. The auctioneer raised one eyebrow. 200. More laughter. The human didn't react. He stood with his hands loosely folded behind his back, wearing a faded brown coat that was several sizes too large. His grey hair was unkempt. One side of his face carried an old burned scar, and his left knee was supported by a primitive mechanical brace. He looked less like a soldier than a man who had spent 20 years repairing engines in a forgotten mining colony. 200 credits, the auctioneer repeated. Combat certified. Human male. Age 59. No current military affiliation. Several physical limitations. Psychological evaluation unavailable. He paused. Likely unsuitable for frontline operations. A blue-skinned merchant raised his hand. 100. The auctioneer sighed. Accepted. Then a young alien woman raised her hand. 110. Every head turned. The woman sat alone near the front of the chamber. She was an Avari noble named Sarah Valen, heir to one of the smallest remaining shipping houses in the outer systems. She had arrived at the mercenary exchange that morning with exactly one objective. Fine protection. She had not expected to buy a human. She certainly hadn't expected to buy the cheapest one. And she had no idea that the silent old man standing behind the field had once been called something that entire civilizations had learned to fear. ***, the last commander. ***. The auctioneer stared at Sarah. Are you certain? Yes. He's old. I noticed. He has a damaged knee. I noticed that too. He has no registered weapons. Sarah looked through the field at the human. He was staring at the floor. Then why does everyone seem so afraid of him? The room became quiet. For the first time, the human lifted his head. His eyes met Sarah's. They were grey. Not soft grey. Not tired grey. They were the color of distant stars after a fleet had passed through them. The auctioneer swallowed. Because, he said carefully, nobody knows why his military record was erased. Sarah placed her hand on the bidding console. Then I'll take him. The auctioneer hesitated. 110 credits. Sarah confirmed the purchase. The field disappeared. The human stepped forward. He stopped 2 meters away from her. Name? Sarah asked. The man looked at her for several seconds. Elias. Elias what? Just Elias. Sarah sighed. Fine. I'm Sarah Valen. I know. That stopped her. You know me. I know everyone who walks into that building. He nodded toward the mercenary exchange. Sarah looked back. The chamber was crowded with hundreds of beings. Military contractors. Bounty hunters. Corporate soldiers. Assassins. Alien warriors wearing enough armor to purchase small moons. And yet the human had apparently been watching all of them. How long were you in there? 37 days. Sarah frowned. And nobody bought you? No. Why? Elias looked at the guards. Then at the exits. Then at the ceiling. Because they were looking for a weapon. He looked back at her. You were looking for a guard. Sarah smiled faintly. I was looking for someone cheap. For the first time, something almost resembling amusement appeared in his eyes. That too. Sarah's situation was worse than she had admitted. Her family owned Valen Transit, a small interstellar shipping company operating 6 cargo vessels between frontier worlds. 6 weeks earlier, her father had died. 2 weeks later, Sarah discovered that their largest competitor, the Karen Combine, had been buying the company's creditors one by one. Now she had 72 hours before the Combine could legally seize the company. There was only one thing they couldn't take: a sealed contract proving that Sarah's father had discovered a massive deposit of Heliox A9 beneath an unclaimed moon. Heliox A9 was worth more than the entire Valen fleet. It could power jump engines. It could manufacture military shields. And, most importantly, the rights belonged to Sarah. If she could survive the next 3 days. That was the problem. The Combine knew about the contract. And they had already tried to kill her twice. The first attempt had been a poisoned meal. The second had involved an airlock malfunction. Sarah had survived both. Barely. She needed someone who could keep her alive until the legal transfer was completed. But she had only 117 credits remaining. So she bought Elias. On the way to her ship, she looked at him walking beside her. "You don't seem very concerned." "About what?" "The fact that somebody may try to kill me." "I assumed they would." "And you're okay with that?" Elias shrugged. "You paid me." Sarah stopped walking. "That's it." He stopped too. "That is generally how employment works." "You're going to protect me because I paid you 110 credits?" "No." Sarah blinked. "Then why?" "Because you bought me." She stared at him. "That makes no sense." Elias continued walking. "You'll understand later." Their ship was called the *** Little Comet ***. It was old. Embarrassingly old. Its hull had been patched 17 times. Its navigation system was for generations obsolete. And one of its landing gears had to be kicked before it extended. Elias walked around it once. Sarah watched him. "Well, it flies." "That's your review." "It'll probably keep flying." "Probably?" He looked at her. "You bought the cheapest guard in the galaxy. What did you expect? A luxury yacht?" Sarah laughed despite herself. It was the first time she'd laughed in weeks. Elias noticed. He said nothing. They boarded. The moment the ship entered orbit, Elias changed. Not dramatically. There was no sudden transformation. He simply became attentive. His eyes moved. Engine temperature. Hull pressure. Power distribution. Sensor range. Escape vectors. He noticed things Sarah didn't even understand. "Your port thruster is unstable. It was repaired last month." "Bad repair." "How do you know?" "Sound." Sarah stared at him. "You can hear that?" "Yes." The ship suddenly shook. Warning lights flashed. Sarah grabbed her chair. "What was that?" Elias looked toward the ceiling. "Missile." Another explosion rocked the ship. The lights went red. Sarah screamed. Elias remained standing. "Someone followed us." "I thought we lost them." "You didn't." "What do we do?" Elias pointed toward the pilot's chair. "Sit down." "Why?" "Because I'm going to make them regret buying expensive missiles." He stepped into the cockpit. Sarah stared. "You know how to fly." Elias sat down. "Unfortunately." He touched the controls. The old ship moved. Not like an old ship. Like something alive. It dropped suddenly. A missile screamed overhead. Sarah slammed against her restraints. Elias! Hold on. The little comet rolled between two orbital maintenance platforms with less than 6 meters of clearance. The pursuing gunship followed. It was faster. Far more advanced. Sarah watched it close the distance. They're going to destroy us. Elias calmly adjusted the ship's trajectory. Not yet. A second missile launched. Elias waited. 5 seconds. 4. 3. 2. He turned the ship sharply. The missile missed. It struck the pursuing gunship. The enemy vessel exploded. Silence filled the cockpit. Sarah stared at Elias. You knew it would do that. Yes. How? The missile was tracking our heat signature. So I changed our heat signature. You turned off the engines. No. He looked at her. I turned off the ship. Sarah stared. You can't turn off a ship while it's flying. You can if you know which systems aren't necessary. She looked at the dead gunship on the scanner. Who taught you to fly like that? Elias leaned back. A very angry instructor. They reached the planet of Vera 6 hours later. It was supposed to be neutral territory. It wasn't. The moment they landed, 12 armed figures surrounded the ship. Sarah's heart dropped. Elias looked through the viewport. Stay here. She grabbed his arm. You can't fight 12 people. I don't intend to. Then what are you going to do? Walk. He opened the hatch. Sarah watched through the window. The mercenaries raised their rifles. Their leader shouted, Elias! We know what you are. Elias stopped. For the first time since Sarah had met him, the old human looked genuinely annoyed. That's unfortunate. The mercenary smiled. Your employer is wanted by the Karen Combine. Elias looked at him. She isn't. She is now. Then your employer is confused. The mercenary lifted his weapon. Drop your weapons. Elias looked down at his empty hands. I don't have any. The mercenaries laughed. Then one of them fired. Elias moved. Sarah couldn't follow what happened. One moment he was standing in front of the ship. The next, he was beside the shooter. He struck the rifle. It flew away. He caught the shooter's wrist. Turned. The mercenary hit the ground. 2 more charged. Elias stepped between them. He didn't punch hard. He didn't need to. Every movement was precise. A wrist. An elbow. A knee. A shoulder. For seconds later, 3 mercenaries were unconscious. The others backed away. Elias looked at them. Leave. Nobody moved. He sighed. Fine. Then he walked toward them. The remaining mercenaries ran. Sarah slowly stepped out of the ship. She looked at the unconscious attackers. Then at Elias. You said you weren't a frontline soldier. I wasn't. What were you? He looked toward the horizon. Something worse. That night, Sarah searched his name. Nothing. Elias Vale. No records. No military history. No criminal record. No family. Nothing. She tried older databases. Nothing. She contacted her father's former intelligence officer. The answer came back 30 minutes later. **** stop searching. ***. Sarah typed. ***y****. The response came almost immediately. Asterisk asterisk because if you found him, someone wanted you to dot asterisk asterisk. Her blood ran cold. Then another message arrived. Asterisk asterisk ask him about the siege of Nareth dot asterisk asterisk. Sarah turned. Elias was sitting outside the ship, cleaning his old mechanical knee brace. She approached. What happened at Nareth? His hand stopped. For several seconds, he said nothing. Then he answered. Everyone died. What happened? The fleet was surrounded. How many ships? 411. And yours? Mine was the last one. What did you do? Elias looked at the stars. I ordered the fleet to retreat. You survived. No. Sarah frowned. But you're here. My body survived. She didn't understand. Then Elias looked at her. 23,000 soldiers died because I made one decision. His voice had changed. I've spent 17 years trying not to make another. Sarah sat beside him. What decision? Stay. He looked at her. I ordered everyone else to leave. You stayed behind. Yes. Why? Because someone had to. Sarah was silent. Then she asked the question she already feared. How many enemies were there? Elias looked at the stars. 7 million. She stared at him. 7 million. Approximately. And you survived. No. Again, that word. Sarah whispered. What happened? Elias looked away. The galaxy survived. The next morning, the Karen Combine arrived. Not 12 mercenaries. Not 50. A fleet. 23 warships appeared above Vera. Sarah's face went pale. They're here. Elias looked at the sky. How long? Until they reach us. Yes. 6 minutes. He nodded. Good. Good? We have time. For what? Elias stood. To make a phone call. He entered the ship. Sarah followed. You can't call anyone. The Combine jammed everything. Not everything. He opened a panel beneath the navigation console. Inside was an ancient communication device. Sarah stared. That technology is illegal. Most useful technology is. He activated it. Nothing happened. Then a single light appeared. Red. Sarah watched the screen. A symbol appeared. A circle crossed by 3 vertical lines. She had seen that symbol before. Everyone had. It belonged to a military unit that officially never existed. The *** Vanguard 9 ***. The unit responsible for ending the Orion conflict. The unit that had disappeared 17 years ago. The unit whose commander had supposedly died at Nareth. Sarah slowly turned toward Elias. You're not Elias Vale. No. Who are you? He looked at the symbol. Then pressed the transmission key. A voice answered. Old. Female. Shaking. Commander? Elias closed his eyes. Yes. Silence. Then the woman began crying. We thought you were dead. I was. But you're alive. Apparently. Commander, where are you? Elias looked at Sarah. Vera. The woman's voice changed instantly. Sir, we can be there in 20 minutes. No. Commander. No. He looked toward the sky. I need you to do something else. What? Wake everyone. The Karen fleet descended. Sarah stood inside the ship watching thousands of troops land. The Combine's leader appeared on every communication channel. Lord Kale Draven, a black armored alien with silver eyes. Sarah Valen, he said. You have nowhere to run. Sarah's hands trembled. Elias stood beside her. Kale continued. Give me the Heliox contract and I will allow you to leave this planet alive. Elias smiled. It was a tiny smile. Sarah had never seen it before. What? She whispered. Nothing. Why are you smiling? Because he's making the same mistake everyone makes. What mistake? He thinks this is about you. Kale's voice echoed through the ship. You have 5 minutes. Elias opened the hatch. Sarah grabbed his sleeve. What are you doing? Going outside. There's an army out there. I know. You can't fight an army. He looked at her. That's what they told me 17 years ago. Then he walked outside. Elias stood alone on the landing field. The Karen army surrounded him. Thousands of soldiers. Armored walkers. Drones. Heavy cannons. Kale appeared in person. You are one man. Elias nodded. Yes. You are old. Yes. You are injured. Yes. Kale laughed. You expect me to fear you? Elias looked behind him. At the old ship. At Sarah standing inside. Then he looked back at Kale. No. He pressed a button on the ancient communicator. You should fear what comes after me. The sky changed. At first, nothing happened. Then the clouds split. One ship appeared. Then another. Then 10. Then 50. Then hundreds. Sarah stared upward. Every vessel carried the symbol of Vanguard 9. Kale's face changed. No. Elias lowered the communicator. The fleet commander spoke through every channel. Vanguard 9, standing by. Elias looked at the army. Remember us. The answer came from thousands of ships. Always. The Karen soldiers began retreating. Kale whispered. But you're dead. Elias smiled. Most legends are. The battle lasted 19 minutes. Not because the Vanguard fleet was stronger. Because Elias knew exactly where to strike. He didn't order them to destroy the Combine. He ordered them to disable it. Weapons first. Then engines. Then communications. Then command vessels. The Karen fleet collapsed without a single planetary bombardment. Thousands of soldiers surrendered. Kale attempted to escape. Elias intercepted him at the landing field. The alien lord dropped his weapon. You could have killed me. Yes. Why didn't you? Elias looked at Sarah. Because she didn't hire an assassin. Kale stared at him. What did she hire? Elias glanced down at his battered mechanical brace. A guard. 3 days later, Sarah's company survived. The Heliox contract was transferred legally. The Karen Combine withdrew. And across the galaxy, one story began spreading. A young Avari trader had purchased a broken human mercenary for 110 credits. Nobody understood why. Until the military archives began opening. Old recordings appeared. A younger Elias stood on the bridge of a warship. His face was clean. His hair was black. His voice was calm. Vanguard 9, hold position. Thousands of ships waited. An officer asked, Commander, what if we lose? Elias looked through the bridge window. Then humanity loses with us. The recording ended. Then another appeared. Elias standing alone on the surface of Narath. Behind him, 7 million enemy soldiers. He looked into the camera. If anyone finds this recording. He paused. Tell them we held. The galaxy watched in silence. Then the final recording appeared. 17 years later. An old human sitting inside a cheap mercenary exchange. Someone asked him, "Why did you disappear?" Elias answered, "Because I got tired of being a weapon." The recording ended. Sarah found him 1 month later. He was repairing an old cargo ship. "You left?" "I retired." "You didn't say goodbye." "You were busy." "With what?" "Running a company." She crossed her arms. "You're impossible." "I've been told." She held out a small case. Elias opened it. Inside were 110 credits. He looked at her. "What's this?" "My debt." "You paid me." "For the contract." "This is more than the contract." Sarah smiled. "Then consider it a new contract." Elias closed the case. "What kind?" "Permanent." He looked suspicious. "I don't do permanent." "Why?" "Too much paperwork." Sarah laughed. Then she became serious. "I need someone to protect my people." Elias looked at the sky. "Hire someone younger." "I tried." "And?" "They weren't you." He sighed. "You know I'm nearly 60. "I know." "My knee is ruined." "I know." "I don't like crowds." "I know." "I don't like talking." "I noticed." "And I don't work cheap anymore." Sarah smiled. "How much?" Elias considered it. 200 credits. She laughed. "That's all." "No." He pointed at her. "Per day." Sarah shook her head. "Done." Elias stared at her. "You didn't negotiate." "I've learned something." "What?" She smiled. "The cheapest human in the galaxy isn't necessarily cheap." Elias chuckled. Then he stood. For a moment, he looked old again. Just an old man with a damaged knee. A faded coat. A scarred face. And tired eyes. But when he walked toward the ship, Sarah noticed something. His limp was almost gone. She smiled. "Commander?" He stopped. "Don't call me that." "Why?" "Because I'm retired." Sarah looked toward the stars. "Legends don't retire." Elias looked at her. "No." He smiled. "They just get better stories." And together they walked toward the ship. Behind them, across a galaxy that had once feared his name, old military channels began transmitting a single message. *** Vanguard 9 is awake. ***. And for the first time in 17 years, the galaxy understood something it had forgotten. Humanity did not become dangerous because humans were stronger. They became dangerous because even after war broke them, even after governments abandoned them, even after time turned heroes into old men with damaged knees. ***, some of them still chose to stand between the innocent and the people who wanted to hurt them. ***. That was the part no alien military academy had ever managed to teach. Humans didn't need to remain warriors forever. They only needed a reason to become one again. And Sarah Valen had just given the oldest legend in the galaxy exactly that.